that Kenzie has strategically orchestrated to begin in 23 minutes. I'm sure she was trying to take advantage of the fact that I am notoriously late going live. Then feel free to stick around, because I think in 20 minutes you're probably going to want to skip the movie because the show here is a little bit more interesting. We will start in exactly 3 minutes at 20 minutes to 8. We're going to be going over a couple of key lies that Kenzie has said. Kenzie is really relying upon people disliking me, people focusing on my quote-unquote reputation in order to discredit, silence, and kind of intimidate me into not talking at all. And there is a tremendous amount of noise around me, around who I am, around what it is I've done. However, to the extent you think I'm a liar, I would challenge you to find a lie. I've been on TikTok for 3 years. Find the best lie you can get. And if you'd like, I'll give you a platform on Saturday. I'm going to be going live at 1 p.m. If you can find a lie, a demonstrable lie, that's material in nature. Sometimes I'll say, hey, you're not totally ugly in order to make someone feel good, but something that is relevant and material, then feel free to discredit me, because I haven't seen that in 3 years personally. So I thought what I would do is I would show you guys some demonstrable lies so that you guys can really see who is telling the truth and who's not. So give us like another 2 minutes and we will begin. For those of you who have either an extra device or a little bit of spare time, I might recommend you start refreshing. Takes a moment or two to clear. So if someone in the comments wants to let me know once that's up, please say so. Wait, music. What kind of, do you understand how old and ancient I am? Irish and NYC. If you guys can just say in the comments, Irish and NYC, because I would love if people could hop there and look at that video. Oh, it's up. Great. And to anyone who's streaming this, if you want to go quickly have a look at that, it's literally a 23-second clip on TikTok, Irish and NYC. I'm not sure if I'm going to regret it, but ethically, I got to follow my heart. And my heart says burn it down. So if you all want to check out what's on Irish NYC, it would be amazing if you can like it, comment, whatever it is you'd like. No numbers, just Irish and NYC. If you're having a problem, if you're saying, how do I turn on the speakerphone? People in the comments, if you guys can direct to people in the comments how to do that. Take screenshots of what it is the process is to turn on the speakerphone. But I will remind each of you, you all individually have the ability to change the volume of every speaker. So just feel free to take advantage of that to the extent you can. All right, I'm going to give you guys, since it's up, 30 seconds. Have a look at what it is I'm presenting, and then we can jump in. And I won't have everything I wanted to have ready, but why not just jump in? We're going to give you guys 20 seconds left. If you guys can like it, if you guys can comment, if you guys can repost it. And so my exit from TikTok, which was prematurely pushed by Kenzie and their lies, I kind of just want to leave on my terms. And so on Saturday, I'm going to hold a mirror up to some of the people that you consider to be the most reputable people on TikTok. The people who look clean, the people who appear to have a squeaky image, the people who can do no wrong, the people who you want on your side because they have that magic word, credibility and or respect. And unfortunately, I have not been graced with either of them based upon my actions and reputation. Pardon me, based upon my reputation, but based upon my actions, I don't know when it is I've been caught lying. And I'd like a lesson to be taught as I'm leaving. Is it more important to look good or is it more important to do good? Because I'll be real fucking honest. There's a lot of performative phonies and parasites out there who are more concerned with their image as opposed to their actions. And on my way out, I'm just going to hold a light up to them. And there's a number of them. And they're not going to be too happy with me doing this, I'm sure. And they're going to probably escalate, I'm confident. The good news is they're only going to have the same old bullshit nonsense that's been churned out for 3 years. And they're not going to have really anything else because who it is I am on TikTok is who I am in my DMs. That's the point. Who I am on TikTok is who I am on DMs. That's what makes me unpalatable. But everyone else, the way that they succeed on TikTok is they hide who they are in their DMs. So, hey, I'm going to expose them. And I'm going to tell you the things that I have kept secret out of respect and out of concern for figurative collateral harm. And in the process, multiple times, I've allowed actual harm to take place. And I'm going to leave that with a question for Debate Talk to figure out. Debate Talk needs to figure out, do you guys give a bigger shit about optics or about effect? because whatever's going on TikTok right now, in my opinion, y'all ain't doing shit but talk out your ass and center yourselves. And I don't think it's I don't think it's the right thing to do. So with that said, let's jump into the fact that Kenzie here is a demonstrable domestic violence perpetrator. I told my story a week ago, I guess now, that the very reason why I have been fearful of triggering and upsetting Kenzie is that she came to me sometime in the summer of last year and was very distraught, crying their eyes out, said that their life is over. And the reason was because they had physically assaulted their ex-husband at the birthday party for their child. And what specifically happened, and I can only tell you what Kenzie told me. Kenzie told me that she walked in, that it was the ex-husband and his parents and the entire family, so the ex-husband's family, and they were throwing a birthday party for their child, meaning for the child of the ex-husband and Kenzie. And Kenzie has had a horrible fixation on destroying the life of her ex-husband, which is twisted because I have asked her extensively. She has 100% confirmed multiple times he's a great father. 100%, she has said that multiple times. I actually think I have a recording of it. That he's a fantastic father, and yet she has gone out of her way to destroy him multiple times, talking to me about stalking his social media, wanting to destroy his life, wanting to make sure he's never happy, wanting to make sure that his life is miserable. These are conversations we had that were alarming, but I just thought were not something she would ever act on. Then I saw that she started stalking the new girlfriend, looking at her social media, kind of getting off on talking or taunting her in DMs. And why the DV incident occurred was due to the fact that Kenzie walked in on this birthday party, and it was as simple as the fact that the new girlfriend was sitting on the ex-husband's lap. That was it. And Kenzie got triggered, went up to the new husband, and per her words to me, she picked up a slice of cake, but I want to be super clear, she was unequivocal, punched that man in the face as hard as he possibly could in a fit of rage. This was not a fun thing for her. In fact, when she was on the phone with me, she was hysterical and punched him in the face. On the way out, the car mirror got broke off, and then she got in her car and fled. Called me, and words out of her mouth was, "I'm going to go to jail. I'm going to go to jail because I just committed physical and personal property and personal assault, and there's a crap ton of witnesses." And I walked her through it. I tried to calm her down. I didn't know the circumstances. I was really just there for someone who I knew for the past 2 years, didn't really know what to do. In talking to her, I had to get all the facts to be able to best advise her. And one of the things I asked her absolutely clearly, has this man ever put his hands on you? And the answer was no. Unequivocally, the answer was he never done that. He never would do that. In fact, I think she literally said he's too much of a pussy to do that. She almost like bragged about an hour into the conversation about the fact that like he would never do that to me. And what's unfortunate about this situation is that it scared the crap out of me, because a couple of months after that incident, first of all, like the jealous trigger was scary. To see someone who would engage in such a fit of rage, and in so doing would do it in front of her child, to me was unacceptable. I think anyone out there who is a parent knows that the number one thing is to prioritize your child in every interaction, even in co-parenting situation. But to ruin your child's birthday party because you're jealous was unforgivable and will scar that child for the rest of their life. I had no doubt about that. And she didn't think for a second or talk for a second about the harm that would happen to that child. That disturbed me. Not once did she say, I'm worried for blank, the child's name. Not once. And that was disturbing. Like, I'm watching all of this stuff, and I'm noticing that she doesn't in any way seem to be centering anyone in this other than her fear of getting arrested. Doesn't seem to be, fearful or worried about the harm that she may have just left with him. Meaning, like, obviously, he was hurt. She didn't seem to care about that at all. She cared about this being used against her. Now, last week, I need to explain to you all, it would have looked when I did that thing a week ago with Sarah, where we did that little trick thing on Kenzie. I know that you guys were like, what the hell is going on? This is a stupid live. There's no receipts. You guys have to understand that Kenzie is very manipulative, and Kenzie has gone out of her way to not make a record of her position. I had to allow last week to happen the way it did so I could get Kenzie on the record. And for the past week, Kenzie doesn't know this, but I've been dropping receipts and dropping information in the server, and I've had my server open the entire week. The reason was to force Kenzie to respond, which she did. And so now what we have is a comprehensive record of Kenzie's position on everything that I'm going to be talking about on Saturday. And now I'm able to say, Kenzie said this, but here's the truth. Now, Sarah, unfortunately, has taken a lot of heat because of that, which really disappoints me. Because the truth is, Kenzie was never a friend to Sarah. And on Saturday, you will see how Sarah was a puppet of Kenzie. You will absolutely, I bet $10,000 that after the receipts on Saturday, you're going to walk out and realize Kenzie manipulated Sarah in the most grotesque, disgusting way for her own personal interest. And it wasn't until I left TikTok and all that Sarah finally realized what the hell was going on. And Sarah needed to see for herself who Kenzie was, which is exactly why Sarah repeated what she had said 2 months prior when the thing happened with Kenzie and I don't want to be involved. And Sarah has plenty of records of her saying, I don't want to do it. I don't want to be involved. I don't want to be in the middle. I have anxiety. And it was only, I think, the day before when Kenzie had finally said, I need you to do this for me. Sarah, I need you up there in order to wreck Irish. I need you standing beside me in order to put a dagger in this guy's heart so he can't come back. And we wanted to show, because we're going to show the record on Saturday of us telling, or rather Sarah, telling Kenzie, I don't want to do this, but Sarah not caring. So for all of you who said, how could Sarah fake being a friend and then twist? The question is, how could Kenzie force a person who she has described as vulnerable in order to join a panel? Now, going back to the record part. Part of that record we're going to look at right now. We're going to do a share screen. Let me do. Okay, everyone big screen me real quick. Quick. Everyone big screen me. Everyone, if someone could put it in the chat, what does big screen look like? So that they know what they should be looking at right now, if that makes sense. That would help a lot. Because you can, if I'm like only a quarter of the screen, then I am not. Well, that's not full screen, Lori. Oh, I guess it is. Sorry. Great. So this is an example. On Thursday, I made the claim of the DV claim because I needed to get Kenzie to tell her followers her position. Clover, who used to be a mutual of mine, who now apparently hates me, which is weird for me. All these people who pretended to be my friend, and then as soon as the going gets tough, I guess, the week get going. I don't know what to say. Clover said, also, Kenzie, there were some disturbing allegations of DV made. I wasn't there for that part or of that live, and I don't know if evidence was provided, but I would love some clarification on that, as I'm sure others here may. And I'm going to say this. This is what I'm talking about. The prioritization of identity over harm is just insane to me, because would you all talk like that if you were addressing a man who had been accused of DV? No, the answer is no. And let me be clear, DV at the hands of anyone is horrible, right? But I think we all agree it's a form of gendered-based violence to the degree that the perpetrator, the identity of the perpetrator and the victim, it's relevant. So I'm not trying to say it's not relevant. What I'm trying to say is that the coddling with Kenzie of these allegations is mind-blowing to me. But I am going to say, as much as I don't understand Clover hating on me right now, I admire that Clover asked this question. I admire that Clover said, you know what? I don't like what he said. Kenzie, can you at least respond to it? Kenzie responded to it. Clear as day. Absolutely no equivocation. Those are untrue. He has nothing. Is Iris the type of person who doesn't have receipts? Kenzie. Kenzie, and I'm not going to give the date. She has the date. Kenzie, are you free? Irish, yes, what's up? Oh, sorry, Kenzie, just so you know, I have screen recorded this part of the chat so that when you go to delete this, it's a screen recording. So you can't really fake a screen recording. Also tapping on your name and all that. So good luck with that. Irish, are you, Kenzie, are you free? Irish says, yeah, what's up? Kenzie says, I think I just burned my life down. I say, want me to call? Kenzie says, yes, but fair warning, I'm a wreck. Kenzie attaches a picture of the car that literally is sent as she's telling me the story. Look at the timestamps, 10:33 p.m. We're on a call for 2 hours, and at 11:17, she sends me the photo. I then, the next day, I'm checking in on her at 8:39 a.m. Just wanted to touch base and see how you're feeling this morning. Not great. Sucks we are here. I then say, here, watch this. It might make you feel a lot better about where you are in life. And Kenzie notes, he, meaning the ex, said he'll only respond to texts and no longer phone calls because I have a propensity for violence. Now, Kenzie, you can keep denying these receipts, and I'll bring out more. Or you can now say what you probably wish you had said, which was, I don't want to discuss my personal abuse of my ex-husband. Sorry, I don't want to discuss my personal life. That's what you probably wanted to say. But you didn't. You denied it happened. Now, Kenzie, I want you to say that I don't have more receipts and deny this again. Here's what's most insidious, and it'll give you an idea of how twisted she is. This is Kenzie on May 18th, talking to Sarah. I kind of want to start posting about my ex on Facebook. I have to do it in a way that it doesn't come off as bitter and derogatory. On Saturday, we'll be showing the insane rant she wrote where she makes herself sound like a hero. It's so insane. But what's most disturbing to me is this, is when Kenzie brags to Sarah that the new girlfriend got arrested for DV too. That her ex-husband has now not only been beaten by her, but she laughs to Sarah. And Sarah, if you can write in the comments, verifying, just say what happened. She was giddy that the new girlfriend was getting arrested for DV. And Sarah says she assaulted blank, meaning the ex. Kenzie says, I don't have the report, but I assume so. I'm going to file for emergency temporary custody. Our police report's public. She had, in speaking to Sarah, she had no empathy for her ex being a two-time victim of DV. More importantly, Sarah asked about how is this going to impact the child because it's joint custody today. And Kenzie laughed at the fact that he was about to be made homeless. And Kenzie, please deny that. Kenzie laughed that this means that the DV, the police report, led to the police coming. The police coming led to him getting an eviction. The eviction meant that the child would have nowhere to stay during the shared custody. And she, instead of having empathy for the ex and or concern for how this would interfere with the child's interactions with the father, used this as an opportunity to seize temporary emergency custody of the child. And what I think is what to me was most grotesque about this is Kenzie is laughing at a woman who did the exact same thing that Kenzie did 1 year prior. The girlfriend got arrested for exactly what Kenzie did, but I guess the ex the first time around didn't want to charge. And I think it's reprehensible that Kenzie is laughing at this woman getting arrested, who's an abuser as well, I assume, while she herself was guilty of the exact same crime. Let's move on. Kenzie told people, we're moving on. That's the DV now. Kenzie, go ahead, make statements in your server, and I'll happily debunk them. Now let's move on. Kenzie told all of you on Thursday that I'm such a liar that I encouraged Kenzie to lie to an SA victim. Now, I don't know if you all remember that. I don't want to bother playing the clip. I mean, I can get it if people want it. It's on YouTube. I don't know, just go find it. It's not that hard. Kenzie basically said I'm a dishonest person because I got Kenzie to lie to a SA victim. Do you want to know what actually happened? Because it's in DMs. They just weren't DMs that Kenzie had access to. They were DMs I had access to. And I guess Kenzie should have thought about that before making a false claim. Now, I'm redacting the date and time, but if Kenzie says that's not fair, I deserve to know, Kenzie's allowed to DM me. I'll give her the date and time. Unlike Kenzie, I want to prioritize the victim, not tokenize them like Kenzie. I want to prioritize them. And so I don't want to give away any information that could tip you off as to who it is Kenzie's referring to. So mods, anyone in the comments who guesses who it's being referred to, and anyone streaming this, I'm asking you ethically to tell everyone right now, nobody should guess who they're talking about. That's not necessary. It's gross. It's not okay. But what I can tell you is Kenzie referred to this person as an SA victim, and Brussels referred to this person as an SA victim. I understand this person to be a person who is a victim of abuse. I don't know what they know. I have never heard these stories from the person, so I can't speak on that. What I can speak on is I know that they were abused by a man, okay? So you have a woman who was abused by a man. And what you're going to see here, as you can see here, Kenzie outs the victim and their abuser. Now, I'm not going to get into the details because I want to protect the person we're talking about. But Kenzie can't really deny it because Kenzie knows I have the receipts. And if someone from Kenzie's server is concerned, give folks a few seconds to read. I've been on the screenshot for a while. But yes, Lori, anything for you. And so Kenzie basically, the best way of explaining this is Kenzie had exclusive knowledge, or rather, Kenzie and Brussels had exclusive knowledge of abuse that a victim had suffered and who their abuser was. The person who, we'll just refer to them as the victim has never publicly stated their abuse, nor have they publicly named their abuser. So can people say that in the chat so I know that you all understand? The victim had not yet told her story, is the point. The victim had not said, I'm a victim. And the victim had not said, I'm a victim of blank. And the victim had not said, I'm a victim of that man. Okay? So she hadn't told her story. But she had shared the story with Kenzie and with Brussels. And I'm not going to get into how it happened, but Kenzie revealed information that identified the person as a victim without describing how they were victimized. So it could have been SA, could have been DV, could have been really bad verbal abuse, threats, that kind of thing, right? So all that was revealed by Kenzie, or I mean, it's a lot, was the name of the victim, that they wore a victim, and that they were victimized by, now the problem was the by part. There was ambiguity as to who when Kenzie revealed this information, who the perpetrator could be. And unfortunately, the only two people the perpetrator could have been was the actual perpetrator or me. And that's due to how Kenzie released the information and shared the information. Okay? So Kenzie basically says, here's the name of a victim. This person is a victim. And then says the person who did it. And I have to just imagine Kenzie pointing a finger, but standing at the end of those fingers is the actual perpetrator and myself. Okay? This is me now messaging Kenzie. And I tell Kenzie, basically, you're saying he's abusive. You're outing the abuser and therefore the victim, right? Because when you go after the abuser, you're sometimes identifying the victim, right? Kenzie says, that was my F up. I should not have done that, basically. Now, Kenzie will say, oh, look at Irish say, so I adore you. No, I've learned that if I'm about to say anything critical to Kenzie, I've got to placate her ego first. So I'm saying, so I adore you, Kenzie, but I didn't think you were about to out those abuse statements. Kenzie says that was my F up, and I say, got it. And then I said, yeah, not sure how you can fix that, but I wish you had not done that. Next screenshot. Kenzie then says, I honestly forgot. It was not my intention whatsoever. Now, I can tell you Kenzie did this, and this is really important for everyone to know. The reason why Kenzie did this was she wanted to hurt someone who would hurt her ego. 100,000% undeniable. Brussels will even confirm that. Kenzie outed this victim because she had her ego hurt by someone else. So Kenzie said it was not her, like it was never not her intention. You know, whatever happened to impact over intent, right? So I say, yeah, we should consider how we can fix that if possible. Kenzie says, bro, I'm all ears. And I say, okay, how to reduce that harm. Kenzie says, I have no idea. I say, yes, we can talk about ideas later. Now, Kenzie's panicking. Kenzie then says, can we put a disclaimer in your Discord? And I don't really know what she's thinking of at this point, because like, how do you disclaim away the fact that you just outed a victim? Like, that's unforgivable. Like, I've never done that in my life. Kenzie says, can we put a disclaimer in your Discord? I say, what do you do what you want? You have free reign. I'm supporting Kenzie after they made a mistake hurting a victim. Kenzie then says, I don't want to bring light to it if I don't have to. And then Kenzie says, maybe everyone thought the abuser was you. Because again, remember, Kenzie was pointing a finger at me and the actual perpetrator. So Kenzie says, maybe everyone thought the abuser was you. And the next thing I say to her is, hey, can you add in that disclaimer that I didn't know what she was doing? And then the next thing I said was, in response to her saying maybe everyone thought the abuser was me, I said, oh, if you can spin it that the victim considered me an abuser, do that. I'm fine with being painted as her abuser. Better that than share that the victim was abused by that person. So yeah, I can fall on the sword for that to protect her info. Go for it. I consent. Kenzie then says, okay, so what do I say? And Kenzie drafts this. As you can see, so what do I say? And then Kenzie drafts this. Hey, everyone, I got some DMs asking about the fact that she had disclosed the information. I apologize. I should not have done that. Because there is an inference that has been misconstrued. Just so we are clear, the victim was referring to Irish as the abuser and that Irish abused her. Now, if you see the 100, that emote is Brussels approving Kenzie's message. I then say, maybe you can say that you did not intend to, and then it was something about me again, because I did not want anyone blaming me for her mess up. Now notice that Brussels says, I'd assume this too. So what Brussels is saying is that, you know what? I think people could assume it was you, Irish, we were talking about, and not the actual perpetrator. So Kenzie suggests it. Kenzie drafts it. I agree to fall on that sword, and Brussels agrees too. And then I say, in this case, I do believe priority should be given to protecting the victim than the information getting out. And then in response to Kenzie's proposal is, I say, sure, I'm fine with that. I post a GIF of me putting a sword through my stomach as a joke. And then I say, this is the important part. Because Kenzie and Brussels purport to believe that they are good with victims and understand victim-informed care, right? And I recognize that what Kenzie's done is a huge violation of autonomy. And I immediately start thinking about the autonomy of the victim. And what I say is, I think it's ethically right to tell a white lie if it protects a victim from her abuser and or protects a victim's autonomy to share her story. We agree that's ethically right, because I ask my friends all the time, do we agree with that ethical position? Then I said, or do you want to ask the victim and explain to the victim that Irish said he's happy to fall on that sword? I defer to you. Now, I want you to remember, I'm not talking to the victim. The victim has not shared the information with me. And so I'm basically saying that you just stole the autonomy of that woman's story. Let's not also steal the autonomy of naming her abuser, meaning she may just want to say it was the person, and she may not want to identify me as the abuser, but I thought it should be her choice, but I have to defer to Kenzie because I'm not in contact with that person. And this is Kenzie's response. This is what Kenzie thinks of victims who share their story with Kenzie, which is not many people at all, I could tell you, because she tells me all of them. Here's what Kenzie thinks of the people who she purports to care about. In response to me saying, you need to center the victim, tell the victim that I'm willing to do this, and ask them, do they want me to be named as their abuser? Kenzie's response is, I don't want to ask her shit. I don't want to ask her shit. And I'm sure you're being cheeky right now. And my response was, nope, I'm being legit. I wouldn't have wanted to share that at all. I'm being dead ass. I think the white lie is justified. I'm just saying that it may be appropriate to ask the victim, do they want me named as the perp? Kenzie now starts freaking out because I think Kenzie's now realizing that like there's many layers to this. So Kenzie says, oh my God, can we call in 5? I say yes. Kenzie says, I need 5. And notice when I said that I'll fall on the sword, do we agree that's ethical? Brussels says yes. And the very next screenshot is us getting on a call where Kenzie was freaking out trying to save her own ass. So when Kenzie says I encouraged her to lie to an SA victim, this is the story she's referring to. The story is that she outed someone as a victim who did not want to be outed, who today does not want to be outed. Just to be clear, the victim and I, like, we don't have a friendship or relationship at all. I offered to fall on the sword, and I didn't mind people thinking of me as the abuser because they already think of, like, my reputation's already shit anyway, right? It doesn't really matter if people think I'm an abuser. They already think I'm an abuser is what's going through my head. And so I want you guys to understand why this is egregious to me is that, again, she's a hypocrite and she's a liar. She's a hypocrite. She's a liar. She doesn't care about the victims at all, has no regard, doesn't even think about autonomy when talking to victims, and will lie to get out of shit and then blame someone like myself for it. Now, 5% of why I'm sharing this with you is the reputation you all know me for on TikTok is often because I fall on the sword for other shit. And on Saturday, I'm going to be outing some of that shit that I've fallen on the sword for. Some of the myths that you all have heard about me over the past 3 years that I have never addressed, that I have kept a secret to protect certain people. And I've just let people go out there say all this shit about me. The fact that Kenzie is now using my reputation against me is so hypocritical because she knows that most of this shit she has firsthand knowledge is nonsense. So she has had no problem for 3 years me falling on the sword, allowing my reputation to be ruined in order to protect people's dirty fuck ups. But now she's using that shitty reputation to have you guys not believe me? Yeah, fuck that. I don't know anyone anymore. Moving on. Sarah's boss. Sarah made the claim that she had an abusive boss, that she felt intimidated by the boss and felt as though she had to contact the boss, interact with the boss. Like, you've got a boss who has been sexting you, sexually harassing you, trying to get with you, right? And she was intimidated by this person because it's her boss and didn't really know how to handle the situation. He would drunk text her quite often. He would say really weird stuff like he wants to marry her, but then isolate her from all of her friends. And Kenzie treated this as a joke, cared more about the fact that the boss was taking attention away from her, and then literally made money on Sarah's abuse. That's a fact. And Kenzie makes it seem like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about? Kenzie, I've got your text messages too, Kenzie. Kenzie, I have access to everything you think is a secret. Everything. Don't bother running to delete. It's all been screen recorded by now. I just needed a week to do it, Kenzie. I have all of your text messages, minus the unsolicited nudes you sent to Sarah. Sarah, who is more ethics than you, did not share them. Other than the unsolicited nudes you sent to the woman who you were helping share her story, you weirdo, I have access to all of your text messages. What this text message is, the top text message on the right, is Sarah's drunk, abusive boss contacting her late at night, right around midnight, in order to try to initiate something with her. And that is not Sarah being drunk. That's Sarah writing what he just wrote because the boss is drunk, right? So he's not speaking right. Now look at the timestamp, May 10th at 12:04 a.m. You now know that at 12:04 a.m., that screenshot is being reviewed by Kenzie because Kenzie responds. But also notice Kenzie said, this is what I sent him without any context. The reason there's no context is because Sarah was on the phone freaking out to Kenzie about her abusive boss. This is May 10th. This is Kenzie calling Sarah, followed by a call from the boss at about 1:32 a.m. The call in question that we're looking at was with Kenzie and Sarah at 11:53 p.m. that lasted for 1 hour and 38 minutes. So what is that? Brings us to 1:30 in the morning. So Sarah basically reached out to Kenzie for emotional support about the abusive boss who has been making intimidating threats and kind of scaring her. And what ends up happening is as it shows, the boss calls while Kenzie's on the phone. And Sarah feels like she has to answer the phone. And so Sarah goes and to answer the phone, and Kenzie gets upset. I can't believe you're leaving me for him. Almost word for word. I can't believe you're leaving me for a man, I think is what she said. And Sarah said, I mean, I don't know if I don't take this, I might get fired. I don't know what he'll do. And Sarah, in order to placate Kenzie, said to Kenzie, I'll be back in 5 minutes. Or I think, it might have been 10 minutes, it might have been 30 minutes, I'm not sure. But basically set a time frame of less than 30 minutes and said, Kenzie, I'll come back for you because we've got to center Kenzie's feelings. And Kenzie said, if you don't get off the phone within that 5 minutes, if you don't get off the phone within 5 minutes, and this is a quote, Kenzie said, if you don't get off the phone in 5 minutes, you owe me $50. Now, that's not a bet, right? Because Kenzie can't lose anything. It's a one-sided bet. So there's no bet. That's her basically saying, if you don't come back to me in 5 minutes, you owe me $50. Now, Sarah's obviously thinking that's a joke, right? Because who would do that? Sarah's being contacted by her abusive boss who has been sexually harassing her and who Sarah just learned was married. And Sarah's freaking out about that part. And when the boss calls in order to talk to Sarah, Sarah just doesn't know what to do, says, I have to talk to this guy. And Kenzie says, if you don't call me back in 5 minutes, you owe me $50. Okay, fine. You centered yourself. You viewed the abusive man as competition for Sarah's time. You fucking weirdo. But here's where it gets bad. Sarah doesn't come back in 5 minutes. And because Sarah doesn't come back in 5 minutes, Kenzie says, I'm $50 richer. And at Saturday, May 10th at 2:15 a.m., which would have been 45 minutes after Kenzie was dropped, Kenzie brags, I totally called it. And then I told you guys about this fact that Kenzie feels an entitlement to your time, then saying not even a text back. And then an hour later, I'll send you my Cash App. She's not even saying, I'm just going to ask you in the chat, what would be the message you sent to Sarah knowing she's on the phone with her abusive ex? Or not like the ex, they never dated, sorry, abusive boss. Sorry. Oh, hey, are you okay? Gosh, Lamp, crazy, right? Wouldn't you say, hey, are you okay? Hey, do you need me to help? Hey, you got this? Hey, I'm here for you. Hey, I'm so sorry he's keeping you on the phone. No, Kenzie says, I'm $50 richer. I was right. Give me my money, bitch. That's what Kenzie's saying. Now, this interaction alone is a problem. In my opinion, that alone is a problem, right? But it could be saved. She says, I'll send you my Cash App. Here, Sarah now at 8:42 a.m. the next morning is informing about how bad the call went and says, sorry, John was having a meltdown and I decided I don't want to be with him literally ever. So it worked out and I listened to you, meaning getting rid of him. Also, have so much to tell you about last night. It was genuinely the worst night. He is insane. And I need to hear more people about you dumping beer on people last night. meaning talking about the boss. Kenzie says, LOL. Okay. Doesn't check in on her. Okay. I mean, not as bad as the night before. Then she reiterates, Kenzie, he was effing insane. He told me if we were together, he'd get me a phone and I wouldn't be able to talk to anyone but him. And I was like, what are we doing here? Kenzie says, girl. Sarah then says, no, so bad. He was like genuinely scaring me. I cried myself to sleep. Now, her saying LMAO, I think everyone knows is just a nervous thing. Kenzie then says, this man literally called you drunk while cheating on his wife to tell you I'll own you when we're together. Sarah says, yup. And then Sarah says, he was like, you don't get it. I'm effing crazy. Are you willing to not talk to your friends ever again? I said, oh, no. And then Kenzie says, are you at work? I'll send you my Cash App. I just want to be clear. That's the second $50 richer. I'll send you my Cash App. I'll send you my Cash App. After Sarah has just explained that it went really fucking bad and that he was saying these psycho things to her. Sarah responds, yeah, I'm working. And then Kenzie, I'm poor. Sarah says, you made the deal. Pardon me. Kenzie says, you made the deal, hooker. And Sarah says, okay, I'll send you 25. Give me a sec. And then says, it was a traumatizing night. Kenzie says, yeah, if only someone had told you not to take his call. Gosh, that almost sounds like I told you so. I want you to really process this because I'm going to show you on Saturday how victim blaming words, because this is a confrontation I've had with her multiple times because she's a horrible victim blamer. Kenzie literally blames Sarah for what happened by saying, I told you so. I told you so. Now, just for context, 10 days later or 20 days later, less than about 2 weeks later, and now I'm just working with the owner, and then Kenzie's been updated. They fired John. So this was not cutesy sexual harassment. This was not like they were flirting. This was not like a scandal. No, he was incredibly abusive. Sarah came to confide in Kenzie, and Kenzie's response was, pay me. Now, if you're not seeing some consistency in how Kenzie treats the women who she purports to help, I don't know what to tell you. I don't understand how you're being fooled by this person. You show a single receipt of me doing this to a victim. You will not find it. This is sociopath behavior. Let's move on to the next lie. And let me contextualize this lie because I think it's kind of important to contextualize this following lie. Sarah is a SW worker and is pretty open about it. Sarah engages in FinDom, financial domination, which is really, to me, the most unusual of SW work because it's literally just saying, give me money and I won't give you SW work. It's the catch-22 of SW work, in my opinion. So in FinDom, what you're looking for is what are called pay pigs, which I don't know who these men are. I don't understand it. But guys who like to give a crap ton of money to women and literally be talked down to. Okay? Sarah has been involved in this for a while. And I think on Saturday, when we go through all of Lori, yeah, no, I think, frankly, she calls Sarah hooker and hoe so much more than I've ever seen her call anyone else, that I really do think that is like, I think it's intentional. And that's the point I was going to make. In my opinion, Kenzie was incredibly jealous of Sarah. And Kenzie was jealous and resentful, in my opinion, that Sarah made a lot of money doing what she does. Or not a lot of money, but like a lot of money, because, like, everyone does lots of different ways of making money and stuff. More so that I think she was very surprised that there was money to be made in this area. And Kenzie was upset that Sarah was making it. I think Kenzie was honestly intimidated by Sarah on a lot of levels. And I think it's going to become clear here. Kenzie wanted to become a FinDom. And I am sharing this information not to shame Kenzie, because Sarah works in FinDom. I have never in 3 years shamed SW work. I'm pro SW work. I got no issues with SW work. In fact, if you all remember, the fight I fought with Kenzie and Brussels about their position on SW work, right? So this is not to shame Kenzie. If Kenzie feels ashamed, that's on her. This is not to shame her, but it's to set up the next lie Kenzie does. And this will show you how insidious her lies are. Or no, not insidious. What is the fucking word I want to say? Not insipid. Entrenched. I kind of want a word with an E or an I. Entwined, entangled. How it like her lies are all over, meaning she lies about things to get stuff, but I think she also lies to herself. She absolutely lies to herself. Like one of the things she lied to herself about was she told people that I was in love with her. And I think we showed a few days ago. I mean, no. All right. So here is Kenzie messaging Sarah on May 30th, which is, by the way, 2 weeks after she wreaked havoc on my life. And Kenzie says, bitch, the craziest thing is happening right now, and I'm upset you're not free. And then she's purple. Kenzie is saying, is this like a pay pig proposal? And the person says, well, in a way, I don't make much money, especially by US standards, but I would buy you gifts from time to time. I want to be your pay pig, your bitch. Look, women who are into these guys, God bless you. And then Kenzie says, ho, I did all the things. Help me with the finishing touches. She's talking about the fact that Kenzie is now asking Sarah for free labor to set up her OF. Okay. Kenzie's ghosting, pardon me, Sarah's ghosting Kenzie. And as you can see, Kenzie doesn't like to be ignored, right? How late is that? 2 hours later. At the top, it says 7:08. At 9:12, she's like, bro. And then 3 hours after that, I have told myself you've died. Yeah, because the only way that Kenzie can, rationalize someone not jumping to help her is that they have died. Because, like, otherwise they would be here. It's not that it's Friday night and, Sarah has a social life. That couldn't possibly be it. That Kenzie is sitting at home all by herself doing nothing on a Friday night and Sarah's out having fun. No, 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 no. Sarah's dead. Now we're on to June 2nd, 2 days later. And Kenzie's still hunting Sarah. LOL, can you just help me with my FinDom life started? Then you can block me after. Then Kenzie says, send it to me, ho. Can you get me set up my sex work arc before you go? I don't know where Sarah's going exactly. On June 4th, I think I just got my first pay pig. PP is pay pig. Sarah says, bitch, ha 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 ha. What the F does that mean? And Kenzie says, pay pig. And then says, I would like to get some dick this year, not gonna lie. Kenzie then says, he's been hounding me, so I finally got some stuff organized and told him to buy me a perfume. We can discuss desires. He just purchased it. And Sarah says, was this on Trone? And Kenzie says, yes. Trone is basically a place for women, but also sex workers specifically. That is basically the Amazon wish list for women who want men to buy stuff for them. And so Kenzie says, this man, I got a pay pig. Now, my guess is Kenzie fabricates a lot of this attention. Kenzie literally just wants to pretend she's as good as Sarah. Kenzie wants to pretend that Sarah's not special because in that way, Kenzie won't feel like crap. That's my guess. And then Kenzie brags by sending the receipt, right? And there's the receipt for the perfume. And I don't know, you guys tell me, is that a nice perfume? If you all can tell me, because I don't know. Anyone? I'm looking in the comments. Because God forbid, I actually end up developing a love life anytime soon. It would be nice to know what perfumes to buy. It's okay. All right. So Sarah kind of noticed something about this receipt. Can anyone notice anything about the receipt that seems just a little bit odd? Anyone? I'm going to look in the comments. Bueller. I spotted it instantly. You have gifted items. That's a great one. And sales tax. Exactly. This is what it looks like when you receive a gift unthrown. When you receive a gift, it says, hey, to your name, because it's going to you, and it only tells you the purchase price because you don't know the state it was bought in. This is what it looks like when you buy a gift for yourself. That is a confirmation where you have made the purchase for someone else, and you therefore get to see the shipping and taxes information. It's undeniable. This is where someone buys it for you. This is where you buy it for yourself. And that's what Kenzie sent Sarah to brag about getting her first pay pig. And that's not a $150 bottle of perfume either. Now, I do know for a fact that Kenzie did purchase this. So this is a real receipt. But I need you to understand how fucked in the head this person is. That she would literally buy herself her own perfume. So just to review, absolutely certain Kenzie lying about who bought her perfume. Pure ego-driven lie. Kenzie making money off an abusive boss. A, hypocrisy. B, inhuman. And I understand that Kenzie's server didn't like that word. Inhuman. It's despicable that when someone is telling you about an abusive situation and you capitalize off it, you're inhuman. And I gotta say, not a very good socialist or communist, Kenzie. Call me crazy, but exploiting people who are currently being abused, that's very capitalist of you. And the third point about this is Kenzie lied about what happened. Kenzie said it was no big deal about what happened. Kenzie lied. Here, Kenzie said, I forced Kenzie to lie about an SA victim. The screenshots clearly show. Not only did I not force her to lie, I fell on the sword. And here, Kenzie said she did not commit DV. And let's be clear on the wording. Those DV allegations are untrue. He has nothing. Well, I have nothing but the entire conversation, you dingbat. Explain away these, Kenzie, and I'll drop the next receipts. If you don't understand I'm better at this game than you, you've not been paying attention. Now, Kenzie, I don't have the receipt of her saying it. I wish I did. And I apologize for not having it, but like it's there. I'll find it. Kenzie said that she knows nothing about me and that she's scared that I would try to dox her. If you remember Kenzie saying that she knows nothing about me and that she's scared I would try to dox her, please say it in the chat. Confirm you remember that. I know it's in the clip. I just didn't want to get it. I want to point out that Kenzie is the person threatening doxing. That's what this is. I'll read it out. Hey, y'all. Sorry for the tags today, but this one feels a little important. If anyone wants to watch Sarah's live, I'd appreciate it if you could let me know whether any personal information about me is mentioned, such as my location, phone number, photos of my son, or other private images or references. Kenzie, I want to be clear. I have no intent. First of all, you've already told people your state, okay? So don't pretend people don't know your state. But I will not be mentioning your location, your phone number. I won't be showing any photos of you, any private images. But I am going to talk about the lies you made. Now, notice what Kenzie now says. For transparency, I do have Sarah's full legal name. Employer. Why would Kenzie say she has Sarah's employer? I do have Sarah's full legal name, employer, and other identifying information due to the nature of our past exploitation. Sorry, friendship. I'm not looking to escalate anything unnecessarily. But if my private information is shared publicly, I'll need to protect myself and my child. Kenzie, let me be clear. You don't give, and sorry, let me just say this really clearly. Kenzie, you don't give a flying fuck about your child, because I've seen how you've opened your child up to your abuse by what it is you did to your ex, and you laughed about it months later. You cried all night with me, and then you laughed about it. And I've seen you exploit your child multiple times to hurt your ex, and it is genuinely the type of insane behavior I tell men never happens. And it turns out you were next to me the entire goddamn time. So this is Kenzie weaponizing her identity as a mother. And I'm sorry, but we need to get back to the days where we start calling out when someone is weaponizing an identity or tokenizing an identity to escape accountability. Does anybody in here think that Sarah or I are going to dox her son? Of course not. Does anyone in here think Sarah and I are a threat to her son? Of course not. But she needs to pretend that that's the only reason I mentioned Sarah's employer. It's pathetic that the only time you care about being a mother is when you can use it to protect yourself from accountability, Kenzie. So she says, I'll need to protect myself and my child by involving appropriate channels, including law enforcement if necessary. Just to be clear, this is not a threat to dox. By the way, if you tell someone I'm going to punch you in the face, and then you say, by the way, this is not an assault. It's not how the law works. It's not really how the law works, right? If you say you're really fat and ugly, and then you say, but I don't body shame, you don't get to disclaim away the thing you just did, right? But this is Kenzie, the person who creates a fake record to cover up. Remember, she wrote the 4 women hurt by Harry. And after they all said, get us the hell out of your series, she wrote them the next day as if they had never had a conversation and basically said, hey, I'm doing this series, just so you know. And one of the women was like, the hell you're going to make this fake record? Because Kenzie makes, everyone say it in the comments with me, Kenzie makes fake records. Kenzie makes fake records. Those 4 women, one of the women said, you're not going to make this BS record where it looks like you're reaching out to us for the first time ever when you literally ignored everything we asked for. And this is Kenzie saying, I'm not doxing. It's clearly a threat to dox. Why would Kenzie say Sarah's employer? Can anyone tell me the relevance of saying Kenzie knows Sarah's employer? Now, for all of you who think Kenzie is a good person, I am giving permission to anybody I know. If anybody I know has a DM where I have told you Kenzie's last name, Kenzie's phone number, Kenzie's husband's name, anything personal about Kenzie, I am giving you permission right now to put it in the chat, show the screenshot, and there will be no retaliation. 0 retaliation. Okay? I can tell you that Kenzie came to me 2 years ago And on a phone call, she said, Irish, I paid for some people to get rid of all my information on social media. And I laughed at her and I said, yeah, lots of people pay for it. I could find you in 5 minutes. And Kenzie said, no, you really can't. I'm trying to protect my son. Great. Good for you. I could find you in 5 minutes. Kenzie then tells me her name on the phone. I write it in our DMs and I left it in there because I don't really have any fear about her trying to weaponize that receipt against me. She told me her name and then I found her in 5 minutes. And I gave her all of the social media that I was able to find, including social media she was convinced was gone while we were on the phone. So there's a record of us on a phone, me writing out her name to confirm what she's saying. Now, I think she deleted her part of the conversation. Doesn't matter. And then I send a couple of links to stuff I found, right? So Kenzie will pretend, oh my God, Irish is such a threat. No, what are you talking about? I've known your information and I've never done anything with it because I'm not a weirdo. You weirdo. Now, there is a record, which I just, again, I'm too lazy. It's in her server. She says, Irish could find out anything about me. I know nothing about that man. And in fact, if someone's in her server and wants to DM it to me right now, I think she uses, what does she say? She may actually say nothing about that man. Where she basically says, I have no idea. Irish could hurt me, but I know nothing about Irish. Kenzie, surprise, surprise. Why are you doxing me to Sarah on May 15th then? That's weird. On the day of our non existent relationship breakup, you sociopath, on the same day that Brussels betrays my confidence, or within 24 hours of Brussels telling Kenzie, because Brussels, look, I'm going to say this about Brussels. I hope to God Brussels comes to her senses. I hope to God Brussels realizes that Kenzie is pure scum. I hope to God Brussels starts realizing that she has been played this entire time. However, I cannot forgive Brussels for going to the woman who I had told Brussels had been sexually harassing me in my DMs to Brussels. I had told personal information to Brussels that I had trusted her with. And one of the first things I told her was on May 14th or May 15th. I think it was May 14th. I told, or let me go back a step. On May 13th, I notified Brussels Ernesto Schubity, a few people in the group chat. I think I'm done with Kenzie because Kenzie had been pulling back, had been trying to get back, there'd been a lot of tension going on, but I was kind of excited because she seemed to now be pulling back, and it was because I wasn't validating her. And I was like, I think I'm out and I don't have to keep validating. So on the 13th, I notify my group chat, I think I'm done. And on the 14th, Sarah can testify on Saturday. Kenzie finds out that I had said that I think I'm done with Kenzie. So Kenzie, in a random, Kenzie then on May 14th leaves all the group chats that I'm in, but she doesn't block me. This was one of the ways she retaliates. It's so immature, but also it's her way of communicating. You need to come to me and grovel in order to placate me. And it was a thing she did for like the months leading up to May. And so on May 14th, after she is told by Brussels that I think I'm out, she then leaves all the group chats and then she posts in a random live. Someone asks, are you friends with Irish? And Kenzie responds, I'm not friends with Irish. And on May 14th, I notify Brussels and my friends, I am done with Kenzie. I literally said, I'm done with Kenzie. Brussels told Kenzie this on the 15th. And Kenzie then, in retaliation, tried to dox me to Sarah. And what Kenzie provided was the full legal name, the face, the phone number, the employer of the man that she believes to be Irish. I want to be also remind everyone that Kenzie knows the real harm that has been placed on me in doing what I do, because I'm calling out pedos, I'm calling out rapists. The real life risk is severe. Kenzie also knows, for all of you who don't know why I don't show who I am, there's multiple reasons, but one of the most traumatic happened 2 years ago that resulted in someone taking, I don't know if I can actually share that part of it. Someone who wanted to hurt me in a very bad way found a woman who they believed to be my mother. And they found another woman who they believed to be my friend's mother. And they posted on a sex website the images of these two women, including their addresses, actual addresses, including a date and time, and advertised an encounter for consensual non-consent, which may explain to you why the friend I'm referring to has a very strong stance on that. It was traumatic. It was incredibly traumatic. If you have ever heard of the fact that Irish doxes children, what that refers to is the minutes after I learn that these two women are on a website, a sex website, with their images, with their addresses, with a time and date saying, show up at my house, I'll resist, but I want it. I'm finding this out in real time. I go live and I say, I want every piece of fucking information on this person. And because let me be clear, the person who I'm talking about who did the websites was not the person who I asked for the information on. They were friends with that person and they were in their community. And so the person who I said, I want to know everything, I want to know kids' names, husbands' names, addresses, car types, I want everything. Because in that moment, I'm learning that two women have been put up on a website to be raped due to what this person is doing. There's no question that the person who I was trying to find information on, it was 100% due to them that this was happening. But I don't think that they put the website up, if that makes sense. Now, I've said, I wish I had not said that, give me kids' names, give me anything. Reality is, when you're trying to figure out who someone is, you just need information. And the fact that this is thrown in my face, instead of people looking at the fact, two women were advertised to be raped as a result of this person, is such performative bullshit that you all should be fucking ashamed of yourself, that you try to focus on the fact that I'm desperate to find out who the fuck this person is in order to figure out who put up those websites so I can stop this person who has clearly lost her fucking mind. Kenzie knew all about this. Kenzie knew that there were real life threats being posed to me and the people around me. But because I'm no longer validating her, she decides, you know what? This is the dude I think is Irish. I'm just going to share it with Sarah. Why the fuck not? But at least she didn't share it with a whole bunch of people. She only shared it with one person. So that, oh no, I'm sorry. I take that back. I apologize. No. Here's her again trying to dox me with Gemma, with Nicole, with Brussels, with Comrade Bell, with Sarah. So I want to be clear, when Kenzie clutches her pearls and says the big bad Irish is going to find out who I am, and that's unfair because I don't know who he is, she sure as fuck thinks she knows who I am. And even though she knows that someone very close to me, their mother, literally was advertised to be raped, Kenzie did this out of spite. So for all of you who say Irish is a doxer, I have doxed pedophiles. I have doxed rapists. If you have a problem with that, you can go to the nearest cliff and walk off it, and I'll be at the bottom, and you could give me your complaint there. Because if you want to protect the identity of a rapist and a pedo, sorry, not sorry, you're sus. Now find someone who I have doxed that you think should have been protected, and I'll wait here. And we'll be stuck, in perpetuity, waiting for you guys to come back. But Kenzie's an actual doxer. Kenzie decides that if she doesn't get what she wants, you know what? I'm going to try to hurt this person in the worst possible way I know to hurt this person. So that's Kenzie. Now, I do want to address the Brussels statement, but I don't know if I should address it now or address it later. I'm going to address it now. This statement has some pros and cons. First of all, for those of you who say I'm verbose, I never hear you complain to Brussels. That woman is a walking encyclopedia who does not know how to shut up. And the fact that this statement is 6 pages long, I think has led to a lot of people not bothering to read it. And I wish to God you all would. Because Brussels decided to do 50% of the right thing. And only 50% of the right thing. And until Brussels does the full 50%, I'm not messing with Brussels. Brussels decided to undo some of the harm that Brussels had enabled. And I do think Brussels is right in how she characterizes what happened. I do think that Kenzie was manipulating Brussels. I think Brussels' ego won't allow her to admit it, per se. However, the whole thing, the lie we're going to talk about, and you're all going to really understand it on Saturday, involved Brussels being used to triangulate by Kenzie in order to get Sarah to do what Kenzie wanted. And what that entailed was Kenzie basically coercing Sarah to say things that weren't really true, but like the way that Kenzie's phrasing it, like there's plausible deniability, and getting Sarah to do things that Sarah didn't want to do, including sending messages that Sarah didn't want to do. And just to give you a preview for Saturday, yes, I mean, Kenzie, you're going to try to get a jump on it. I know you will. The difference between you and I, Kenzie, is you're really, really fucking boring. So people don't care when you talk, right? And you're not a good storyteller. So you're going to dump all your receipts, and your cronies are going to say, oh, Kenzie's so transparent. But I'm going to explain the context. And then your cronies are going to say, he's adding context. You can still read the goddamn receipt, you morons. I'm just putting it in time and place. But what I'm going to be showing on Saturday is Brussels and Kenzie were writing messages for Sarah to send to me, which were really, cruel, that were not true, and that were designed to gaslight me and basically make me feel like I'm a bad person. Fucking weird. And you see literally Sarah go to Brussels saying, I don't want to do this. Kenzie's pressuring me to do this. This is too much. Kenzie wants me to be meaner. I don't want to be mean. I feel like if I don't do this, Kenzie's going to get upset. And I'm going to show all of that to you on Saturday. I mean, it just takes a long time to have gotten the receipts. Like I just got the receipts. It takes me a long time to organize it, right? And I'm going to show that Brussels and Kenzie have been basically shadow drafting messages between Sarah and I. And the irony is I called it straight away, but I was called paranoid. I literally say that the funny thing is Sarah and I have had great communications, no problems. And then Sarah sends me this really weird message on May 17th-ish. And it's really formal, kind of accusatory, kind of like it was really not, I knew it wasn't saying what she wanted to say. And within my immediate response was, hey, don't worry, I got you. I'll do whatever you want. But then I say, I can't help but notice this sounds like Kenzie drafted this for you, Sarah. And Sarah responds saying, "What are you talking about? How dare you?" But I have the drafts, Kenzie. I have your drafts. I have the drafts that you sent to Sarah. You took your words, Kenzie, and you tried to put them in Sarah's mouth in order to use Sarah as a tool to hurt me because I didn't give you my dick? And you call yourself a feminist? How male-centered, how much more male-centered could you be? You used, tokenized, and exploited another woman to hurt a dude who just didn't think you were attractive? You weirdo. Now, the problem is Kenzie very effectively used Brussels. Now, Brussels says something in the statement that I think is very true. And that is, and now I know because I have the phone records, Kenzie, that Kenzie was on the phone with Sarah almost every time before they went to Brussels. So what would happen is that Kenzie would effectively talk to Sarah, get Sarah on the same page so that when they went to Brussels, from Brussels' perspective, it looked like a united front. So I have empathy for Brussels in that sense, to the extent she believed she was actually trying to help Sarah. What I don't have empathy for is that Sarah gave so many signs she didn't want to do it. And not just signs, she confided in Brussels. I don't want to do this. And Brussels kept basically dismissing what Sarah was saying and saying, don't worry, Kenzie's not going to hurt you. Don't worry, Kenzie would never do something like that. You shouldn't be scared of Kenzie. Don't worry. And I think Brussels, the truth is, Kenzie used Sarah to try to hurt me and destroy me because ultimately Kenzie used Sarah to destroy my friend group, which I'll explain on Saturday. And Kenzie also used Brussels. And Brussels, I'll just say it very clearly. If you want to call me a racist because I'm telling you that Kenzie manipulated you, I don't know. Maybe don't be so fucking easily manipulated. Maybe focus inward instead of getting angry at me. I didn't manipulate you. Kenzie did. If it triggers you to hear the truth, get the fuck off the internet. Because that's where I'm at right now. I'm really sad that Kenzie manipulated you. I'm really angry that when I tried to save you from her manipulation, you threatened to call me a racist. Get your fucking priorities straight, people. I tried to help you, you ding dong. And your response was, I'm going to call you racist for saying that Kenzie's manipulating me. I don't know. Which is the bigger harm? The figurative harm that a man who's a white guy may possibly be racist because they're implying that a white woman is manipulating a black woman. That's a possible harm. Or the actual fucking harm of a white woman who's actually fucking manipulating you, Brussels. And that's the point of Saturday. All of you performative phonies and parasites out there who keep on focusing on looking good instead of actual harm reduction, you're not just toxic, you're dangerous. Because I bought your bullshit, Brussels, and I bowed to it. And I shouldn't have. I should have turned around to you and said to you, Brussels, you're a moron and you're being taken advantage of by Kenzie. And in so doing, you're hurting Sarah. And that's disgusting. That's what I should have said to you. Now, a month or two has gone by, I guess. And Brussels has learned that she was used. But Brussels, who is still being a coward, will only admit to part of what happened. The only thing that Brussels is admitting to right now is that Kenzie 100% manipulated Sarah, that Sarah reached out for help, and that Brussels refused her, and that Brussels ignored all these key red flags that had been brought to her attention because she believed in Kenzie. Brussels cannot admit that Brussels was manipulated by Kenzie, which is really weird to me because I don't understand how Kenzie manipulated Sarah, but Kenzie didn't manipulate Brussels, since Brussels did the exact same thing to Sarah that Kenzie did. So if Kenzie manipulated Sarah, then Brussels, that means you manipulated Sarah. Did you do that because you're a bad person? Option A. Or option B, did you do it because Kenzie manipulated you? Brussels, grow up. You literally do accountability lives. It sucks admitting when we're wrong. It sucks admitting when we do harm. Grow up. You are manipulated by Kenzie. And in the process, the third thing you won't admit is Kenzie did it to hurt me. Because you have to ask yourself, Brussels, what did Kenzie manipulate Sarah to do? Kenzie manipulated Sarah and you, Brussels, both of you, to do something to hurt me. So Brussels has admitted to 1/3 of what happened, that Kenzie manipulated the hell out of Sarah. But Brussels is not yet there to admit that Kenzie also manipulated her, because, hey, it's going to suck for Brussels to be able to admit that she's easily manipulated. Although, Brussels, I would recommend you look up the term "I'm easily manipulated" in your DMs. I found 9 fucking entries. You told us all the time you were easily manipulated. You told us all the time to not allow you to talk to certain people because they would manipulate you. So fuck me for thinking you're easily manipulated after you told us 9 times you're easily manipulated. That said, let's read out what Brussels said. I know this may feel sudden or even like a betrayal. That's not my intention. This is coming from a place of care, reflection, and a deep desire to reduce harm. I'm asking for some openness, to sit with what's here, even if it's uncomfortable. I truly hope something in it resonates, even if it's just a small piece. First paragraph, irrelevant. We can cross it out next time. Because at this point, I feel it's necessary to make a statement. Back on June 5th, Sarah came to me privately. She shared a lot, how she felt, the pressure she was under, and how she was navigating everything in real time. She asked me to keep what she said in confidence, and I honored that. I want to be clear. Brussels, in my opinion, is scapegoating Sarah by saying that Brussels was like sworn to confidence. That's not entirely true. I think Brussels could have done something with that information, and she just didn't. But whatever. We all tell ourselves what we need to avoid accountability. She asked me to keep what she said in confidence, and I honored that. However, I don't think that was the best thing to do. I know I ultimately failed her. Brussels is saying she failed Sarah. For some reason, I thought things might resolve privately, and even I contributed to making my problems her own. Everything Sarah shared with me from June and before has remained consistent with her recent claims, including the fact that she wanted to believe Kenzie was her friend. Watching how Sarah has been treated since initially speaking up, I could understand confusion as a response. But watching her be attacked, dismissed, and villainized for simply expressing how she felt has been heartbreaking and frankly alarming. Sarah has never hidden her fact that she struggles with anxiety, trauma, and emotional vulnerability. And from what I've witnessed, those things were taken advantage of. Because Brussels is a coward, let me help you just put a finer point on that. And from what I've witnessed, Kenzie took advantage. That's who Brussels is talking about. Brussels should have said at the top, this is to address Kenzie's behavior. So when she says, and from what I've witnessed, those things, trauma, vulnerability, anxiety, emotional vulnerability, were taken advantage of by Kenzie. Sarah told me she felt pressured by Kenzie. And in hindsight, I saw clear signs that Kenzie was isolating her. I believe she was privately guiding the narrative, meaning Kenzie was privately guiding the narrative, using group chats and then using group chats with Brussels to reinforce it. Often, when Brussels, Kenzie, and Sarah were in group chats or calls with Kenzie, Kenzie had already spoken with Sarah privately. Sarah later told me she felt like her voice wasn't really hers in those spaces, that she was encouraged to use her or harsher language than she was comfortable with. I also witnessed this firsthand. This is Brussels saying what she saw. Sarah was told what to send. Those messages were drafted together, meaning with Brussels and Kenzie. But when Sarah pushed back, she was pressured hard to say what Kenzie wanted, not what Sarah's felt. This was not help, even if that was the intent. Brussels, either you're a fucking moron, or again, you're easily manipulated. Because when Brussels says this was not help, even if that was the intent, stop making excuses for Kenzie. That was the intent. The intent was to use Sarah to hurt me, which is so weird. This was not help, even if that was the intent. It was not the outcome. All this did was lead to Sarah's voice and feelings being repeatedly deprioritized. At the time, I believed I was helping her articulate her thoughts. But looking back, I now see I had been facilitating something else, i.e., facilitating something Kenzie did. Something that didn't uplift Sarah's actual feelings or voice, but someone else's. Brussels, you coward. Something that, let me just get rid of the pronouns, something that didn't uplift Sarah's actual feelings or voice, but Kenzie's. And I wish I had recognized that sooner. To be absolutely clear, Sarah didn't just suddenly feel this way. She expressed these concerns to me privately in June, but she was afraid of retaliation and fallout relating to Kenzie. What's happening to her now, being dogpiled, discredited, and painted as unstable for simply naming that experience, is not okay. If we say we care about mental health, then we have to be able to hold nuance. Sarah admired Kenzie. She looked up to her. She literally fangirled. That admiration created a power imbalance. And whether or not there was malicious intent, again, Brussels, you coward, and whether or not there was malicious intent, there was, the impact of that dynamic is real. And guys, if you can give some love to Sarah in the comments. I don't support retaliation or the weaponization of private struggles by anyone involved. Brussels, how about you just rephrase that and say, Kenzie is weaponizing her private struggles. You fucking weirdo. And I don't think it's fair to label Sarah for speaking to her lived experience, especially when her behavior has been consistent with someone who is scared of retaliation and being overwhelmed, which is exactly what she has said. I want to take ownership of something important. When Sarah came to me in June, scared of Kenzie, I told her she had no reason to be. I told her she'd be safe. I told her she had nothing to worry about. I told her retaliation would never happen. I am afraid I was wrong. I unfortunately see now exactly what she meant. Sarah was absolutely afraid to say anything, and rightfully so. She feared that dissent or even quiet discomfort could escalate into public shaming. And now I fully understand why. Look at where this has led. How did it spiral into dissecting her trauma? Why are we discussing people's personal lives this way? I don't think anyone involved recognizes themselves anymore. That's a cop-out, Brussels. Take accountability. I don't recognize you, Brussels. I don't recognize Kenzie, or I recognize Kenzie for the past year. This has perpetuated so much harm, and why? Because Sarah said she was hurt and felt manipulated? Can we all please take a step back and ask why? No, Brussels, you coward. Kenzie, can you take a step back and ask why? Why did naming that harm lead us here? Let me rephrase it. Why did Sarah saying Kenzie had manipulated her and exploited her lead to Kenzie doing all this harm? Sarah was scared, felt cornered, and told me directly about everything she felt. I think many people would resonate with her if they listened. Feel pressured her into maintaining a friendship, even if they no longer felt fully safe in it. I remember her telling me Kenzie encouraged her to repair things with Irish. Then Sarah was blocked by him because Sarah relentlessly defended her friend Kenzie. This whole situation greatly hurt Irish. Why would Sarah help Irish hurt himself? and get herself blocked by him. On Saturday, I'm going to be releasing my DMs with Brussels, my DMs with Kenzie, and my DMs with my friends, and my DMs with Sarah. And you guys can look. Does it look like Sarah and I fucking coordinated Kenzie using Sarah to hurt me and break up my fucking close friends? That's not what happened. I understand why it may seem confusing, but this community does know about responses to harm and fear. I think they should be considered here. I have considered Kenzie a friend, and I felt ill about all of this. Brussels, if you weren't a fucking coward, you would have said, I have considered Kenzie a friend, and I feel ill about being her friend. So I hope the fact that I'm posting this holds weight, and you're open-minded as you read it. Even posting this gives me hesitation. This experience has cost people friendships, time, tears, and left trauma aired out in ways that never should have happened. I don't want to be on the receiving end of that. No one does. That's Brussels' way of basically saying, Kenzie, please don't hurt me. I truly hope no one else has to endure anything like this again. I understand the dynamics here are complex and possibly confusing from the outside, but I'll say this. I truly believe I'm sorry could have gone a long way and minimized the collateral impact. Brussels, no one's reading your shit because you're not saying who did it. And you're clearly talking about Kenzie, and you've been too cowardly to say it even more explicitly. If what you mean is Kenzie should have said she's sorry, you're right. Because all this is due to the fact Kenzie's ego got hurt, that the guy she was crushing on was repeatedly not validating her, and that I stood up for Sarah against her. But I'll say this, instead, escalation was chosen again and again, even when vulnerabilities were known. And more hurtful things were said as a result. How many more people will be hurt and why? From where I'm standing now, Kenzie was someone Sarah admired, and there was a power dynamic. She considered her a friend, and Kenzie mishandled her hurt and vulnerability. And now people are punishing Sarah for expressing it. I think we forget that people's reactions to trauma, grief, and fractured friendships don't always look clean or perfect or make perfect sense. But maybe instead of punishing people for being human, messy, and having trauma responses, we could try to understand where the harm came from and how we contributed to it. I effed up. My participation hurt Sarah. I didn't act in line with any of my values. I didn't not center her the way I should have. She deserved better. Yeah, she did, Brussels. I need to be clear. You exploited her as well, and you should be ashamed. I did not speak up. I did not reach out enough. I projected my own thoughts onto her, and it led to hurt. I can own that. And sincerely apologize. I don't know how to make it right, but I want to, and I won't deny that it caused harm, even if her disclosure feels delayed. Sarah feels hurt, and I'm deeply sorry for that part I played in it and the fact that it is continuing. So, just one question. Can we please pause and reflect? Are we putting being right above reducing harm and being restorative? Why are you asking a philosophical question, Brussels? You fucking waste of space. Is what you meant to say, Brussels? Kenzie, can you please pause and reflect? Kenzie, are you putting your ego about being right above reducing harm and being restorative? Is that what you meant to say, Brussels? I want everyone to understand that I don't like any part of what I've been seeing. I don't like how it's been bled over and hurt other people. I don't want to hurt anyone else. I know this isn't a receipt, but please, yeah, it's not a great one. But please consider it testimony and an opportunity to hold deeper nuance. In my opinion, Brussels is pretty goddamn clear that Kenzie manipulated the hell out of Sarah. The problem is she wrote it in 6 goddamn pages, which led to this asshat saying, "What in the wall of text?" And no one reading it or caring about it. But let me put it, I don't know, a little bit shorter. Brussels just said that Kenzie is a manipulative piece of shit who exploited Sarah for her own personal gain. TLDR. If you think I'm misrepresenting that, to all you ass clowns over in Kenzie's server, how about you stop being, keyboard warriors and get your ass into this Discord right now and you tell me I'm misinterpreting what Brussels said. Come on over here. Don't whine over in her Discord. I can't believe she's Brussels mouth. Tell me what exactly it is I've said that's incorrect. And I'm going to tell you the real truth of things. And this is part of the point on Saturday. It is so misguided that our appreciation that marginalized communities are absolutely disproportionately harmed by a lot of things in society. And that we should indeed have an extra sensitivity in care and protection for marginalized communities. That's a good thing. What is disgusting to me is that when Brussels said Kenzie manipulated Sarah, none of you gutless cowards in Kenzie's server dared to denigrate Brussels' name because she's black. That's why. I'm going to break it down and be real honest. Because you were worried about being labeled something, so you didn't want to attack Brussels. And don't pretend it's because you respected Brussels, because if you respected Brussels, you would respect what she just said, right? If you respected Brussels, when Brussels is telling you Kenzie is a dangerous person, you would get the fuck away from Kenzie. You don't respect Brussels. You used her. When she was useful, you used her. And when she's got something to say that you don't like, you don't attack her because she's black. But you also don't accept what she's telling you. And the disgusting part for me is when she said, hey, what happened to Sarah? Kenzie did manipulate her. None of you really went after her. And when Sarah, the victim, said the exact same thing, you all attacked the fuck out of her. And the fact you don't understand that you are performative parasites who want to pretend you're good people, but are actual dangerous and actually working against what is right, you are a problem. You are not making things better in the world other than your own fucking egos. Because if you gave a shit, you have two people saying the exact same thing. One of them is the victim, and you guys bullied the victim. You're hypocrites. And I want to show you just how badly you guys bullied the victim and what it is you guys think is okay, because you guys are more impressed by reputation. You guys are more impressed about looking good. You guys are more focused on checking the box than checking in with victims. Let's just see how disgusting the levels of depravity you guys are able to justify. Let's listen to Kenzie the day that she got outed. Just as a reminder, Brussels and Sarah have said the exact same thing. Kenzie manipulated Sarah, saying the exact same thing. Let's listen here.
I don't get it. Like the things that she's told me about.
Great. Let me just run back. That's probably about right. Okay. Now, I have permission to share this story. And I'm going to tell everyone right now, huge trigger warning. And I'm going to tell you all right now that it's a huge CSA trigger warning. And if you want to tune out for maybe 4 minutes, tune out. Okay? Trigger warning, CSA. I can do it maybe 4 minutes. I have permission to give this story, and it's important. And I'm not going to say it in a drawn-out way. I'm just going to say it bluntly. Sarah endured horrific trauma as a child because she was raped by her father over a 10-year period from being very young, two-tree, very, very young age, all the way up to about the age of 12. Repeatedly raped by her father until at the age of 12, her father either had a psychotic break, either had some sort of manic episode, and threatened to kill Sarah, perhaps realizing Sarah was getting old enough to be able to tell, which then enabled the courts to be able to put in a restraining order against the father. I don't think I really have to get into much more detail, even though there is a lot more detail. I think we can all understand how horrifically traumatic that is. Now, when Sarah came forward and said, on Thursday, everything Irish said was correct and everything Kenzie has said was a lie, all she did was speak her truth. All she did was say, Kenzie manipulated me and made me do things I didn't want to do, which Sarah has literally had validated by Brussels. Now, I want you to listen to Kenzie's reference to Sarah's childhood. And I want every one of you fucking ass clowns who support Kenzie, who pretend to support victims, who pretend to care about rape culture, who pretend to be good people. I want you to justify this, you fucking cretins.
Have been suspicious of her and recorded all the phone calls that we had, because like she really did a good job appearing that like she wanted to be my friend and cared about me. Like and again, it's crazy. Like what did you do this for? And to like spend so many hours investing in that. I don't get it. Like the things that she's told me about her life and her childhood, like I don't know if these are real. Um
Irish, are you muted? Not sure if you know it. I don't know if you could. We can't hear you, so
Thank you for that.
sure.
And so the premier TikTok feminist, the Countess of Rape Culture, decided to say, hey, you know what, Sarah? Simply because you decided to step forward and tell your truth, which Brussels agrees with, that you were manipulated, I'm going to basically say, remember all that rape that happened to you for 10 years? Yeah, I'm not really sure that happened. You ass clowns, you performative parasites, are constantly looking for ways to cancel people. But when you find someone who like has the right polish, you guys don't give a flying fuck about the principles you pretend to care about. Lore, Edith, are you okay with this? If you are, come over here and justify it. I want you to justify. And I don't want you to just justify it, Edith. I want you to explain to me how you could remain friends with Kenzie after she did that. Are any of you fucking cowards willing to come in here and talk to me and defend this shit? Or are you just going to hide behind your keyboards whining like losers because of your insignificance and insecurity? You feel better by putting other people down. You have no desire to bring other people up. You just want to put people down. And if that's not the truth, get your cowardly asses over here right now. Heath, you said I'm lying about being sexually harassed. Why don't you get your fucking ass over here? You tell me, how is this redeemable? How is this redeemable for someone who should know everything about this topic? Kenzie, are you scrambling right now to figure out, oh my God, what else did she tell me about her childhood that I can lie about? Good luck with that, because there was only one fucking thing talked about her childhood. But you're going to lie. Feel free to lie. And your cronies are going to believe you because they don't actually give a shit about the ethics that they like to weaponize to hurt people, but don't actually adhere to. And to all of you who support Kenzie and the people around her, that is what these principles are for you. These principles and ethics are not things you adhere to. They're things you throw like javelins. They're things that you use and weaponize in order to hurt people you don't like. They're not things you stick to in order to be ethical people. And after 3 years on this app, I trigger you because I'm a better person than you. Sorry, not sorry. And if you want to get your ass in here and tell me how you're a better person, feel free to. Because I guarantee what you're going to do is tell me why you're a more important person to listen to. Why your voice is more important. I don't know. I don't really listen to people who aren't actually fucking ethical. But hey, let's watch this again, because we all know they're going to say it's being clipped. But I just wanted to land where that was, but we'll let the whole minute play out. Oh, in fact, let's watch the whole thing. Reminder, I have just come forward and said, Kenzie has sexually harassed me. And by the way, I have changed my statement. I am now saying that I was a target of Kenzie's sexual harassment and that everything she has done since is retaliation for me not succumbing to what she wanted. And in response to that happening, I want you to listen to Jen and I want you to listen to Kenzie. And we'll hear them talk about me and then we'll hear them talk about Sarah. This is a 6-minute clip.
All the things. Like, I don't think he's really like done anything here except prove like even further what a shittier person he is. And then like I don't know what Sarah thinks she's done here.
And since Irish is watching this, what you pulled here didn't prove you right, didn't make me believe you, actually made me hate you. You are a disgusting man. Absolutely disgusting. I was part of those chats. All of it. You are so fucking dishonest. You are manipulative. You're a narcissist. You're everything that everyone's claimed about you. And I hope you fucking stub your toe really fucking hard.
No, like I said, I don't think what I don't know what do you think he's done here. If anything, he's just shown who he is. Hello? Oh, okay, that must have been an accident. Yeah, and like the reason that I want to go live is this is not going to affect me, I think, the way they want it to. Like, I don't blame myself. I don't feel like I'm a, you know, stupid person for just trusting someone. So if anything, like, Irish has proved every claim I've made of him, that like this level of obsession and like the degree of this action, I don't know. Yeah, he wanted to humiliate. Thank you, Bex. Yes, he wanted to humiliate me, and it's crazy that he needs that to have, like, I don't know if it's meaning in his life, if it's to I don't know, Jen. One second. Like the motivations behind it are, yeah, this did happen tonight, Jack, are truly wild. Yeah, like I mean, does he need me to like validate his existence? Like, is this like, make it make sense?
I mean, and this is my take, my opinion. I don't, when I say, like, I was skeptical of the whole, with these conversations we've been having for however long this has been, I kept asking about Sarah, and I'm not saying like I was right. Like, I'm like, the Sarah piece didn't make sense to me. It didn't click. I couldn't figure out what, it felt like there was more to me with Sarah. I felt like there was something that was missing there. And it felt, I don't trust a lot of people. Let's just be honest. I don't trust a whole lot of people. And I was very, very skeptical